going to get into some fraction action today, multiplying fractions. See the little smiley face? Fractions are your friends. Now, some of you may notice that a lot of textbooks start with adding and subtracting fractions, like we don't do that here. I don't know why they do that. Adding is difficult. Subtraction can be nightmarish. Multiplication is like easy. So we're going to start there, and then go to division, and by the time we get to addition and subtraction, it's going to be easy. You're going to be thinking, all this time, that's what I was dealing with fractions? Yep, that's it. It's easy. So today, multiplying fractions, no problem. Only 4 steps. That's it, only 4. No matter how you do it, you only need 4. MCMR. And I have a couple corny ways to help you do that. And it's kind of weird being here by myself just teaching you like this. And I mean, I know you're paying attention and everything. I said I know you're paying attention and everything. But if there's a crowd, it can get kind of neat and people remember, so I'll try to do it like if there was lots of people. So MCMR, one way to remember it is multiply, sorry, that's already wrong, I'm already thinking ahead. Make sure you have fractions, cancel if you can, multiply across, and reduce, man. So those 4 steps, MCMR, which we'll have another little song about that in a second. You just pick whichever song works and remember it, but it's only 4 steps. Make sure, actually we could say make sure fractions are there. Cancel if you can. Multiply across. Reduce, man. That's it, those 4 steps. If you follow those, you'll get there every time. Make sure you have fractions, cancel if you can, multiply across, and reduce, man. The other way we remember it is the YMCA song. Now I have a gimpy arm from a motorcycle wreck or whatever, so I can't exactly make the letters, so you're going to have just to imagine and make them up however you want to. So the YMCA, it's MCMR. Yeah, corny enough to remember? MCMR. Make sure your fractions are there. Cancel if you can. Multiply across, reduce, man. MCMR. And that's all I'm going to do for you. You just got to make the rest up on your own. All right. But let's get to it and see what it looks like. MCMR. So when you look at this one, make sure your fractions are there. Make sure you have fractions. Do we? No. We have 1 fraction and 1 whole number. So we can't do anything because to multiply fractions, you got to have, fractions. So we got to have those. The way we make this whole number into a fraction is we give it a denominator of 1. 9 divided by 1 is still 9. So we didn't change the value of the number. All we did was change its form. It'd be similar to saying, well, how much money is this? I use this example a lot. It's $5. But if I do this, it's still $5. I just changed the numerical form of it. I didn't change its value. Same thing here. 9 divided by 1 is still 9, so we still have this. Do we have fractions now? Sure enough. Make sure you have fractions. Cancel if you can. What cancel means is if there is a number on the top that is divisible by a certain number, and there is a number on the bottom somewhere that is divisible by that same number, you can cancel them or divide them out. What that looks like is this. 5, will anything go into 5 that will go into something down here? No. So we move on. 9, is there something that will go into 9 that will go into one of these 2 numbers? Yes. The 6. 3 will go into both of those numbers. So we can cancel. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And now once we do that, these 2 numbers don't exist anymore. Now it's just a 3 and a 2. What about 3? Is there something that can go into 3? No. Can this number now go into the 5? No. So we're done, because you can do it multiple times. So now, make sure you have fractions? Yes. Cancel if you can? Yep. Multiply across. Multiply across. So 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 1 is 2. All right. So make sure you have fractions. Cancel if you can. Multiply across. And reduce, man. Can we reduce this? 15 divided by 2. Yes, we can. And again, the bigger number is on the top. That is an improper fraction. We'll cover what that means a little more in depth later on. But an improper fraction. So 15 divided by 2 is 7. So this will be 7. But then there's some leftovers. If we do it long ways, you'll see that it'll go into there 7 times. It'll be 14. Subtract, we have 1 left over. Well, 1 out of what? 1 out of the 2 that we were using. So 1 out of the 2 will fit. So we have 1 out of the 2 here, 7 1/2. And then we're done. We can't reduce that anymore. If this was, for example, 4/8, we could do canceling again and get down to the lowest terms here. Let's try another one. 2/5 times 10. Make sure you have fractions, do we? No. Again, we have a fraction and a whole number. So we need to make this into a fraction. So again, give that a denominator of 1. So now I have 2/5, and we have a fraction here, 10 with a denominator of 1. We do have fractions. Cancel if you can. Is there anything down here that can go into the 2? Incidentally, and I'm just going to add this in, if there was something, say, I don't know, 3/4, and you're doing multiple fractions, one can cancel all the way across if one wishes. And I'll go ahead and do that now since we're doing this. We can cancel 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. See that? It doesn't have to be right next door to each other. They can be wherever. So then we move over here. 10. Is there something down here that can go into the 10? Ooh, we have 2 choices. What do we do? What if we do it wrong? You can't do it wrong. Either one will work. As long as you follow the rules, you'll get to the right answer. That's one of the things that's great about math. It's greatly creative as long as you stay within the guidelines. So let's just do this one because it's a bigger number, and I want my numbers to be smaller because I'm going to be multiplying those pretty soon, so I want smaller numbers. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Oh, and looky there. Now we can cancel again. Crucial to realize that once you cancel those numbers, they no longer exist. It's only a 2. So one can cancel more than one time. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And that's important. Some people miss that. Well, what if I don't get the big enough number to divide in? That's okay. Just start with something, anything that comes to mind. And then just go to the next thing and chunk it down, chunk it down. It's okay. And even if you don't cancel when you can, by the time you get to the reduced part, you will have to do it there anyway. So there's a double catch safety in there. You can do it here, and or you can do it at the end. But now we're here. Make sure you have fractions. Cancel if you can. Multiply across. 1 times 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So 3 divided by 1. 3 divided by 1 is just 3. And so we're done. Easy. Anybody can do it. Problem. Just 4 little steps. MCMR. McMister. MCMR. Well, let's try this one up here. It looks a little bit more complicated. So we have 4 2/3 times 15/16. Do we have fractions? No, we have one fraction. This is not a fraction. This is a mixture of a fraction and a whole number. And a mixture of a fraction and a whole number is called a mixed number. That's why we call it that. So we need to get this into a fractional form. The way that's done is we start here. Think of the denominator, the bottom number of a fraction. Think of that as like a family name. 2 people, at least in our culture, in the West, if 2 people get married, they have the same last name. No matter how many kids they have, it's the same last name. If nothing weird happens, nobody dies or whatever, it's the same. Same thing with fractions. And you go whoop around there. You multiply here. 4 times 3 is 12. And then you add here. 12 plus 2 is 14. So we have 14/3 all together. Start with the denominator, the bottom line, and go around. Multiply here, then add that, and you have the improper fraction, but it is a fraction. Fractions can be improper in the middle of the process. We just don't leave them there like that. So then we just bring this back down here, 15/16, and now we see that we do actually have fractions. So the first step, make sure you have fractions. Yes. Cancel if you can. Okay, so we're back to that again. Start with the 14. Is there something that will fit inside 14 that will also fit inside some number along the bottom? Yes, there is. A 2 will fit into both of these. So we'll just do that. 14 divided by 2, 7. 16 divided by 2, 8. Okay, so we're done. Whoa, no we're not. Let's check this one. Is there a number that can go into 15 that can also go into 3? Sure, it's 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So make sure you have fractions. Cancel if you can. And nothing here will go into 7 evenly. You can't divide 5 by anything here evenly, so we're done with the canceling process. So make sure you have fractions. Cancel if you can, multiply across. So we're back to the multiplying across. 7 times 5, 35. 1 times 8, 8. So 35 divided by 8. Now we do need to reduce again. So if we do that, 35 divided by 8, we're going there 4 times, that would be 32. Subtract, we would have 3 left. 3 out of what? 3 out of the 8 that we were dividing by. So the answer there would be 4 and 3/8. And again, we don't need to reduce this. If it was 2/8, then we could reduce it because 2 will go into 2 and 2 will also go into 8 if that was the case. But it's not the case, so we are finished. So here's a real life kind of thing here. Let's say that a vehicle gets 22 and 4/5 miles to the gallon. Over time, you've clocked that or kept track of it somehow, and you're going somewhere, you have 14 gallons of gas. Do I have enough to get there? Well, how far can it go? So we would say, well, if 1 mile, and by the way, miles per gallon, the per gallon means per 1 gallon, not per gallons, not per 5 gallons, but per gallon, per 1 gallon. So 25 miles per 1 gallon. But we don't have 1 gallon, we have 14 gallons. So the way we'd solve that is we'd have the 22 and 4/5 miles for every 1 gallon of gas. But we have 14 gallons of gas, so we would go times 14 gallons. And that's how we'd set that up, just in a day-to-day kind of thing. So again, we need to change this into a this mixed number into a fraction, and that whole number into a fraction. We can't multiply fractions without having fractions. So first, make sure your fractions are there. Make sure you have fractions. 5. So we start here at the bottom again, go around, multiply here. 5 times 22 is 110, plus 4 is 114/5. And we give that a denominator of 1. And then we're there. So to do this, then we would find, well, can we multiply? I mean, can we divide anything, can we cancel? Can we divide anything into here that we can into there? Well, 114. Well, what do we know about 114? Well, we know that it's an even number. Okay, so 2 will fit inside of that number. Will anything fit in there? No. So we can move on. We could try 4 or 5. The only thing 5 will go into is something that ends in a 0 or a 5. Neither one of these end in a 0 or 5, so the 5 won't work. So we look at the 14. Again, that's the same issue. They both end in 4. So that's not going to work out. So when we get there, we multiply this out. 114 times 14, which is ugliness. Sometimes it's going to be ugliness. So let's just multiply that out. 114 times 14. 4 times 4 is 16. 4, 5, and 4. And then we put our 0 there because we're dealing with the tens place now. 4, 1, 1. Add them all up. We get 1,596. 1,596 divided by 5. Now why am I doing this? Because of the third step. Make sure you have fractions, cancel if you can. In this instance we couldn't. Multiply across, that's what we're doing. Multiply across. Boom. And reduce, man. So now we would take 1,596 and we would divide that. So 1,596 divided by 5. We're going to the 1? Nope. 15, you have 3. 15. Subtract, we get 0. Bring down the next number. It'll fit into there 1 time. It'll go 5, 4. Bring down the next number. 6, 9. 9 times 5 is 45. And we're left with 1. 1 out of, the line can mean out of. 1 out of how many? Well, out of the 5 can fit in there. So our answer here is 319 1/5 miles is how far we can travel if we have 14 gallons of gas. And that's it, multiplying fractions. Make sure you have fractions, cancel if you can, multiply across and reduce, man. MCMR, no problem. Division will be even easier. See you then.